Hi, I'm Adamsdownboy, and welcome to the third video in the Mother Clucker Clan's guide series for the reprised Destiny 2 raid Crota's End. This one focuses on the second encounter, the Oversoul Throne Bridge, which is another encounter that's mechanics based rather than involving a boss fight. I'd like to thank my clanmates, Aaron PK, Electric Sheep, Hathu, Jester, Minonai and Tooks for running the raid for me. From my point of view, frustratingly well, so I don't have the usual trove of teachable moments to illustrate how to snatch success from the jaws of a lack of revive tokens. I'll apologise now for some possible variable voice quality. I've been putting off recording as I've had a bit of a persistent head cold, which means I'm probably going to be even more all over the place than I am usually. For the bridge, your aim is to open the exit door that leads to Crota's Oversoul Throne. To do this, you'll need to kill 10 Gatekeeper Knights on the far side of the arena, which can only be killed using Ascendant Hive Swords dropped by Swordbearer Knights. These swords must be enlightened as they're collected, so can only be picked up by Guardians with the Enlighten buff. While your Fireteam is gaining the Enlighten buff by using the Chalice of Light, you'll also be building the bridge by first enlightening and then standing on a capture plate. Unlike the earlier Stills encounter, this time you will also need to stand on 2 Annihilator totem plates at the same time, similar to the totems encounter in Kingsfall, to prevent them wiping your team. You'll enter the bridge arena that leads to the Oversoul Throne from the Abyss encounter exit portal. I'll refer to this as the home side. In front of you are steps that lead down towards a central area. Standing on the stairs, you'll see a bucket with a Chalice of Light at the bottom, and beyond the bucket is a bridge capture plate, and to your left and right are 2 additional plates with Hive Annihilator totems above them. Behind you is a large circular room which is one of the add spawn areas. There's then a large central void between you and what I'll call the away side, which is a broadly similarly organised area. You might need to ADS there with a sniper rifle to see that there's another central bridge plate and 2 side plates with totems, a preserve bucket, and beyond the bucket there's another staircase flanked by 10 hive statues with a closed door at the top. The bridge area also holds the first and second pair of statues that form part of the Deepsight puzzle, on the ground floor of the home and away sides. You can complete part 1 on the home side before the encounter begins. Activating the correct statue of a pair will bring up the message "A choice echoes into the future" on screen. Activating the wrong one brings up a message to tell you that you've made an irredeemable mistake and you'll be unable to complete the puzzle for the additional red box weapon. The unique mechanic that you'll use throughout Crota's End is the gaining and using of the Enlighten buff and managing debuff timers along the way. I cover these mechanics more fully in the first video of this series, so I'll just describe them here in brief. Picking up the chalice, either from a podium or as we call them, a bucket, or from another guardian, starts a meter that will fill after 30 seconds. It fills faster if you or anyone nearby is killing adds. This can reduce the time to nearer 20 seconds. When the meter is full, a 10-second engulfed in light debuff timer starts. You must get rid of the chalice before this reaches 0, either by preserving the chalice in a bucket or by another guardian claiming it from you, or you will die. Having the chalice taken from you by a guardian grants the key raid buff named Enlightened. This buff is what is used to interact with objects in the raid to enact its encounter mechanics. After using the buff, you'll then start a 45-second drained of light timer. While you are either enlightened or drained of light, you will be unable to claim the chalice again. One guardian can take the chalice from another before the meter fills and the engulfed in light timer starts. This is a technique called juggling, which prevents anyone from gaining the Enlighten buff while still keeping the chalice with the Fireteam as it makes progress through an encounter. Finally, you'll find the buckets or the podiums of light at locations throughout the raid. These can be used to preserve the chalice, storing it temporarily. Preserving the chalice, even if your meter's full, won't grant the Enlightened buff, but it will start the drained of light timer. How you use the Enlightened buff in the bridge encounter is different to the Descent and the Stills. Here, as well as using it to start a bridge capture, you'll also use it to enlighten and pick up Ascendant Hive Swords from the bodies of Yellow Bar Major Swordbearer Knights. Picking up a sword uses the buff up, so starts the drained of light debuff timer. While you wield the sword, you'll not be able to use any abilities other than your jump and its variations. The sword has a light slash, a heavy slam and a superpowered slam attack but no guard ability. Do not swap weapons, or if you're a hunter, dodge, or you will drop the sword and you'll be unable to pick it up again, which means having to get enlightened once more to recollect a new one. This isn't fatal to a run with no wipe timer to worry about, but it will add time to the encounter as you wait for a new swordbearer knight to spawn. You can explore the home side as much as you like, as the encounter can't be started accidentally. If you look up and to the right, you'll see a broken sphere in the sky that will be important in the final boss fight against Crota. Before starting, your Fireteam should sort out the order that you'll become enlightened and cross the bridge. The first 3 over I'll call the away side team, and the last 3 will be the home side team. Claiming the chalice starts the encounter with minor ad spawns, mainly Hive Thrall, Acolytes and Barrier Knights initially. The Clucker's preferred method is to enlighten the whole Fireteam on the home side in turn, with the first Enlightened Guardian using their Enlightened buff on the bridge plate to start the bridge building process. The bridge outline will grow as you capture the plate, outlined with a faint green glow until finished. Only when the plate is fully captured will the bridge be fully formed and, most importantly, solid. After the first Guardian, the chalice will now be distributed through the rest of the Fireteam, with each member gaining the Enlightened buff in turn, until the 6th and last Guardian is holding the chalice. They should now return to the first Guardian waiting at the bridge plate for them to claim it again. If anyone dies while enlightened, they will need to regain the buff before anyone crosses the bridge. At least one Guardian will need to stand continuously on the bridge plate to form the bridge, while at least one more stands on the left and right totem plates. Stepping off the bridge plate isn't fatal, but will start the bridge deforming. Guardians on the totem plates can step off for a second or two to pick up ammo or an orb, but if left unattended for more than a few seconds, it will glow increasingly red and angry before wiping your Fireteam. Maybe shoot to loot isn't looking so bad now, eh? Shortly after enlightening the bridge plate, when the third section of the bridge is created, a yellow bar Swordbearer Hive Knight will appear from one of the 3 spawn areas on left, middle or right. Kill this knight quickly, as if left in a damaged state for too long, they will regain health. Like the barrier champions, these are major rather than boss tier enemies, so they can be affected by crowd control subclass verbs like Arc Blind, Void Weaken, Stasis Freeze and Strand Suspend to make them easier to kill. When killed, an Ascendant Hive Sword will remain on the corpse for about 10 seconds before despawning. A Guardian with the Enlightened buff can use it to enlighten the dropped sword, which also picks it up and equips it. You'll see a message on screen saying the name of the Guardian has picked up the sword when successful. By the time the remaining 5 Guardians have become enlightened, the Guardian standing on the bridge capture plate should have formed the bridge to the away side. As with the previous capture plates, there's a flash of green flame and an audio cue when the capture is complete. However, you will only be able to cross the bridge if you're carrying either a Hive Sword or the chalice. So, when the 6th Guardian's chalice meter is full and the first Guardian reclaims the chalice from them, the first Guardian, who now has the chalice, and the Guardian with the Hive Sword can start crossing the bridge together. As they do so, one of the floating Guardians not standing under a totem will need to take their place on the bridge plate to stop it from deforming. On the away side, the chalice holder should see the preserve bucket at the bottom of the exit stairs, which they should immediately preserve the chalice in. The sword-bearing Guardian will find a bluey-green coloured yellow bar Gatekeeper Hive Knight waiting, which can only be damaged by the Hive Sword, but also, importantly, is only a major, so can again be affected by crowd control effects and weapon traits. The sword-bearing Guardian can't use any abilities while they're carrying the sword, but the former chalice holder can make their life a lot easier by disabling the Gatekeeper with one of these effects. When the Gatekeeper's dead, objective diamonds will appear in an arc around the preserve bucket. The Hive Sword Guardian must preserve their sword in one of these sword preservers to progress the encounter. You'll also see that one of the Hive statues flanking the staircase to the exit door is now lit up. Killing the Gatekeeper Knight will also spawn a fresh sword bearer on the home side for the next Enlightened Guardian. Once the first 2 Guardians have crossed the bridge, if you fail to preserve the sword for any reason, you'll have to wait until your last Guardian crosses the bridge to sort this out. I'll cover this later. Once the new sword bearer is dead, the sword enlightened and picked up, and the sword-bearing Guardian has crossed the bridge to repeat the Gatekeeper kill and sword preserve, you'll now have 3 Guardians on the home side and 3 on the away side. At this point, the away side Guardians will now hold their bridge capture plate and 2 totem side plates to keep the bridge formed, while the 3 Guardians on the home side can step off. Additional adds, including Hive Wizards and Cursed Thrall, will now start spawning on the home side. After killing the 3rd and then the 4th Gatekeeper, additional adds will also start spawning on the away side, including Hive Barrier Knights again. 1 Guardian will now be left on the home side. This is probably the toughest position on the Fireteam, so should be taken by one of your stronger Fireteam members. We find that retreating to the stairs makes life a fair bit easier. They'll need to stay alive with a large crowd of adds around, kill the sword bearer and collect the sword without support, and finally make it over the bridge. The away team can now step off the plates on their side of the arena, and your fire team can now reclaim the chalice from the preserve bucket and start enlightening everyone in turn again. The last sword-bearing Guardian now kills the last of the first wave of gatekeepers and preserves the final sword. With 5 swords preserved, you're now in the final phase of the encounter, which will ultimately open the exit door. Around a minute after the last sword is preserved, we think this could be based on clearing adds or a hidden timer, a yellow bar Fisher Ogre will spawn in on the left and right sides. After killing the 2 ogres, the preserved swords will be released, indicated by diamond objective markers becoming visible again, and Guardians with the Enlighten buff can reclaim them. At the same time, 5 Gatekeeper Knights will appear. The Guardian with the chalice should preserve it in the bucket, and then, with any other Guardians without swords, should help by debuffing the Gatekeepers, buffing the Sword Guardians and clearing adds. As each one of the final stand of Gatekeepers is killed by the sword-bearing Guardians, an additional Hive statue on the stairs will light up. When all the Gatekeepers are dead and all 10 statues are lit, the encounter is over and the exit door will open. I've summarised the bridge encounter's specific enlightenment mechanics here if that's your preferred learning style, but rather than read them all out again, you can just pause the video if you want to read them yourself. Probably the most common problem you'll face after the chalice has been preserved on the away side is someone on the home side forgetting the first rule of Raid Club and dying, losing the Enlighten buff as a result. If anyone does, someone on the away side will need to reclaim the chalice and take it back over to them. There are a couple of options for the rescuing Guardian, but the easiest is to become enlightened themselves once over there, with the revived Guardian claiming the chalice from them. The revived Guardian can now take it back across the bridge to preserve, while the rescuing Guardian can kill a sword bearer, enlighten the dropped sword, and then head back to kill the Gatekeeper. The other problems you might face are failing to preserve items on the away side. If anyone fails to preserve a sword, then reclaim the chalice and enlighten as many Guardians as you have swords missing. After the last Guardian crosses the bridge, a sword bearer will appear on the away side, providing a sword that you can then preserve after killing any remaining gatekeepers. If you've had a bad run, you might want to wait to preserve the last sword until you have 3 people who don't have the Drained of Light debuff running. After the 5th sword is preserved, the 2 Fissure Ogres will appear and you can proceed to the final stand fight. If someone fails to preserve the chalice on the away side, it will reappear on the home side. You'll need someone on the home side to lose their Enlightened buff. They can do this by dying, and this might actually be the better play as it means you don't have to wait for the Drained of Light timer, or by picking up a sword and then dropping it again. They can then claim the chalice from the preserve bucket and take it over to the away side, wait until the meter fills and become enlightened. You'll be 1 sword short, so once you have all 6 people on the away side, a sword bearer will spawn there, allowing the Enlightened Guardian to kill the final Gatekeeper and preserve the sword to spawn the Fissure Ogres and proceed to the final stand fight. Once you've finished the encounter, don't forget to complete the second part of the Deepsight puzzle, activating the left or right statue on the away side of the arena. I'll illustrate all of this briefly now to show how, in principle, the encounter should work. Initially, Guardians 5 and 6 make their way to the left and right totems, while Guardian 1 picks up the chalice and runs to the central bridge platform with Guardian 2. Guardians 3 and 4 for the moment will act as floaters. helping clear ads for all the plates. When Guardian 1's Chalice of Light meter fills and the Engulfed by Light timer starts, they'll tell Guardian 2 to take the chalice. Guardian 2 claims it from them, leaving Guardian 1 with the Enlightened buff. Guardian 1 then enlightens the bridge plate, starting the bridge building process and also starting their Drained of Light timer. Guardian 2 can move back out to Guardian 3 while their meter fills, telling them to take the chalice when it's full, leaving Guardian 2 enlightened. Guardian 3 will continue to clear ads while standing near Guardian 4. Guardian 2 can now start looking for the Swordbearer Knight, who can appear from any of the 3 spawn areas, left and right sides at the bottom near the Deepsight statues and from the central room at the top of the stairs. When it appears, they can kill the knight and enlighten and pick up the hive sword that it drops. Because they've used their enlightened buff, they'll start the Drained of Light timer. After picking up the sword, they can move to stand close to the bridge plate. They can use the sword to help with ad clear, but should be careful not to die or drop the sword inadvertently. When Guardian 3's meter fills, they'll tell Guardian 4 to take the chalice, leaving them enlightened. Guardian 4 will then move over to where Guardian 5 is holding down their totem plate. Remember, Guardian 5 can't leave the plate, so Guardian 4 has to move to them. When their chalice meter is full, Guardian 4 will tell Guardian 5 to take it. Guardian 4 will now stay on the totem plate, while Guardian 5 moves to the other totem plate to stand near Guardian 6. When their chalice meter is full, they'll tell Guardian 6 to take it. Guardian 5 will now hold this totem plate while Guardian 6 moves to the bridge plate to stand near Guardian 1, whose Drained of Light timer will have elapsed by now. When the chalice meter is full, they'll tell Guardian 1 to take it from them. Finally, with the bridge built, Guardian 1 holding the chalice again and Guardian 2 with a hive sword and the remaining 4 Guardians enlightened, Guardians 1 and 2 can make their way over the bridge. Guardian 1 deposits the chalice in the preserve bucket, while Guardian 2 kills the Gatekeeper Knight with their hive sword. Guardian 1 can help with subclass verbs to impede the Gatekeeper's ability to fight. Once the Gatekeeper is killed on the away side, another Swordbearer Knight will spawn on the home side. Guardian 2 finds a sword preserve bucket and deposits their sword in there. When the second Swordbearer is spotted by the home team, Guardian 3 kills it and, as before, enlightens and collects the sword. Guardian 3 can now make their way across the bridge to kill the second Gatekeeper Knight that emerges, with the assistance of Guardians 1 and 2. Again, once the Gatekeeper is dead, Guardian 3 can use any of the sword preserve buckets to preserve the sword. Now that there are 3 Guardians on the away side, they can take up their places on the bridge and totem plates and tell the 3 Guardians on the home side to step off theirs so they can retreat to the stairs. To save time, we'll assume that the home team of Guardians 4, 5 and 6 have repeated the process of keeping an eye out for each swordbearer in turn, killing it, obtaining a sword, crossing the bridge, killing the Gatekeeper and then preserving their sword. When Guardian 6 gets to the away side and the bridge is no longer needed, Guardians 1, 2 and 3 can step off the away side plates and Guardian 1 can reclaim the chalice from the preserve bucket. When Guardian 1's chalice meter is full, they'll ask Guardian 2 to take it. Depending on how long it takes for the 2 fissure ogres that spawn after the 5th sword is preserved, you should have time to repeat through Guardians 2 and 3, with each claiming the chalice, filling the meter and telling the next in line to take it from them to become enlightened. You might want to delay the ogre kills until you have enough Guardians enlightened. After the fissure ogres are dead, the final stand of 5 more Gatekeeper Knights will start. These appear from the side doors either side of the stairs. Whoever is carrying the chalice when the Gatekeepers spawn should take it to the preserve bucket and deposit it. Enlightened Guardians can now reclaim the swords that were previously preserved and kill this final wave, while Guardians without swords can assist with debuffs on the Gatekeepers, buffs on the Sword Guardians and ad clearing. Once the final stand of Gatekeepers is dead, and all 10 hive statues flanking the exit staircase have been lit, all the Fireteam's buffs and debuffs will be removed, the encounter finishes and the exit door opens. A chest with your loot will now appear at the foot of the stairs. You can drop the Swordbreaker shotgun, Fang of Ear-Ute scout rifle, Oversoul Edict pulse rifle and arm and chest armour here. As in the Abyss, with no boss to set up DPS for, you can concentrate on survivability with your loadout choices. Everyone has the same role essentially, so you'll all need to be able to deal with adds, pierce the barrier knight champions and burst down sword bearers with your weapons. Machine guns are, again, an excellent choice for clearing adds, with them taking only a single crit shot to kill, so providing excellent ammo economy too. Add clearing traits like incandescent, disorienting grenades, vault shot or destabilising rounds can help clear crowds, while support traits like demolitionist, pugilist or wellspring can help with recovering ability energy. Weapon healing and overshield effects are also useful, like unrelenting, heal clip and repulsor brace. A weapon with the combination of repulsor brace and destabilising rounds is one I personally rely on here. A burst damage weapon, like a shotgun or fusion rifle, is useful for dealing with the yellow bar swordbearer knights, and finally, as mentioned earlier, everyone will need a weapon that can pierce barrier champions. We recorded this in Season of the Witch, when bows and auto rifles, including Sheep's beloved Sweet Business, had the anti-barrier mod. Most enemies, especially the more dangerous ones, will be up close, so melee damage resist armour mods work well. Alternatively, if you're having problems with the wizards or ogres at the end, you could consider arc or void resist mods. Strand subclass Woven Mail helps tank damage, as do void subclass overshields, while invisibility is always useful to avoid trouble. Solar Cure and Restoration effects are also handy. Healing Grenades can be a lifesaver alongside Warlock Healing Rifts, while Arc Blind and Jolt can help deal with mages and adds, as can Stasis Slow and Freeze effects. The Guardian that will need to think about their loadout most is the last one across with the sword. Invisible Hunters probably have the easiest time in my experience, making sure to go invisible before collecting the sword so you don't inadvertently drop it while dodging and then despawning. We set up pretty much as we had in the Stills encounter, with Jester taking the chalice first to get the Enlighten buff, then Minnow, Sheep, Erin, Hat and Tooks. We set up as Jester, Minnow and Hat as our away side team, and Erin, Sheep and Tooks as the home side team. I'll apologise now for the Fireteam view video not being as easy to follow as usual. Anyone who's seen our previous videos will know I usually try to reflect the position that a Guardian's standing in their position on screen. But unfortunately with the bridge encounter, positions swap a lot alongside the various states of the Enlightenment buff, so I'm afraid you'll need to use the labels and probably pause a bit more than usual to follow what's going on. Because there are two distinct phases, collecting the swords on the home side for the first 5 nights and then recollecting the sword on the away side for the final stand, there'll also be a bit more commentary throughout the Fireteam view video than usual. Initially, Took stands on the left home totem plate and Sheep stands on the right, with Hat and Erin floating in the middle. Jester picks up the Chalice of Light from the home side bucket and starts the ad spawns. He makes his way to the bridge plate with Minnow, where he waits to fill the chalice meter.
Alright, we're good.
When the meter's full, Minnow claims the chalice from Jester. Jester uses the Enlighten buff on the bridge plate to start its construction and, having lost the buff, starts the Drained of Light timer. After establishing that Sheep is holding a plate, Minnow makes his way to him while his meter charges.
Alright, take him in. I need to
Okay, got it. Yep.
Enlighten.
Yep. So Sheep, you're taking it off of me at centre next.
Okay.
Or actually, no, you're not, because you're over there. I'll come to you.
Never mind then.
Sheep claims the chalice from Minnow when told. Minnow stays on the right totem plate, which allows Sheep to move over to where Erin is floating and killing adds. Once he's ready, he tells Erin to claim the chalice from him. At the same time, the first swordbearer spawns on the right side. Minnow and Hat kill it, and Minnow enlightens and picks up the sword. He moves back to the bridge capture plate with Jester to wait until everyone's enlightened. I'll let you watch the next few enlightening rounds now without interruption, from Aaron to Hat and then to Tooks. You can see how chalice holders go to find the next holder in turn, rather than have them come to them as we did with the stills, and take over the plates from Guardians after being enlightened.
I'm at 90, so I'm full now. Take it. I'm behind you.
Alright, I got it.
Okay. So you're going to Erin.
Aaron,
Yeah, I'm in
And I'll stay out here with the
middle
with
bit.
Hat.
in the center. I see you. I see you. I see your name tag. Wait, I lost you.
Visual name
no,
tag.
you're here.
Sword breakers on us.
Still here, I haven't moved.
Alright, if you could take it from me, please.
Right, I've got the
There
sword.
you go.
Appreciate it.
So Hat, you okay covering this plate?
Yep.
Cool. Erin, you're going to
So
Huffy.
I'll be Hat. I'm going for Hat, yeah. So I'll cover Hat.
Yeah, you've got
when
this,
Hat goes
this
to
plate
cover this
sheet.
plate.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
or
good. I
if
can
Hat's
keep this
covering
down.
that plate.
Take
I'll
off me
go
Hat,
to,
please. Thank you. Right, so now I've got a Hat plate. It's fine.
Yep.
So do I need to go to now?
Hat goes to
Toots,
Toots.
yeah.
Yep.
Where are you?
Right behind you, buddy. Now?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Now.
Now?
Yeah.
Tooks now takes the chalice back to Jester at the home bridge plate for him to claim after Tooks' meter is full. Tooks now holds down the bridge plate while Minnow with the empowered hive sword and Jester with the chalice of light make their way across the bridge.
Was it now?
It wasn't now.
How about now?
Yeah.
Tonight.
So Toots gives it back to Jester, then Toots you'll need to cover middle.
Have I seen Strawberry yet?
Yeah, I've got this one.
No, Jester, please.
Come on.
Down.
Alright, we're
Alright.
going then Jester, Toots on this plate.
go.
Go, go, go.
Failed the challenge. Oh no.
When they get there, Jester preserves the chalice in the away side bucket, while Minnow kills the first gatekeeper knight, which lights up the first of the hive statues flanking the away side staircase to the exit door. He preserves the sword in one of the sword preserve buckets, indicated with a diamond objective marker, and tells the home side guardians that another sword bearer has been spawned by the gatekeeper kill. At this stage, on the away side, adds are only spawning from the two spawn doors on either side of the staircase to the exit.
Did that a couple of weeks ago. Alright.
Could have done the challenge, although we might have angered the director.
It's not really necessary, is it?
Depends if he wants to do challenges as a video.
I don't know.
I think the challenge is for us to do a good job.
Okay,
What do you
my
mean? We
knight's
always
do that.
down,
What
are you
sword
talking about?
stunking. You should now get another sword bearer.
The second sword bearer spawns on Sheep, who kills it. Hat enlightens and collects the sword and makes his way across the bridge to kill the second gatekeeper.
Yeah, it's on sheep. And going toward the middle,
Okay,
not going toward sheep.
Hat, if you want to go grab that one because you're not on a plate at the moment. Yeah? On sheep.
He's dead. Got it.
Okay. Sword bearer's out in mid. Shield side's out in mid level.
Now that there are 3 guardians on the away side, they take over bridge duty, with Jester taking the bridge plate, Minnow on the left totem and Hat on the right. When everyone's in position, Minnow tells the home team to step off their plates and they reposition on the stairs. The home team will continue to kill adds, which now include wizards and cursed thrall, search for and kill sword bearers, enlighten and collect the hive swords, cross the bridge, kill the gatekeepers on the away side and preserve the swords until all 6 guardians are across and 5 gatekeeper knights have been killed.
Okay, gatekeeper's down, Hat's dunking a sword. We'll take plates here.
Yep. We're ready.
Jester, can you jump on mid-plate?
Yeah, I was just...
We're on plates this side now.
Cool.
So,
Okay.
Tooks, Erin, shoot, you can get off your plates.
Oi, hello, sword bearer.
Already there. Oh.
Okay, got the sword.
Okay.
Where are you going? Come back here.
Doncaster.
And sword's getting preserved.
Look at that, mate.
No one goes
Kind of
down.
random.
Not by choice.
Just go through it.
Once the 3rd gatekeeper is killed, Minnow lets everyone know that the additional spawns on the left and right sides have started.
Just a random plate to
Next
say
sword
where to
bearer
go.
should be coming out, by the way.
Yeah, he's here.
So, side mobs are spawning.
Dead. After you shoot.
I take it. Thank you.
Alright.
Alright, I'm here. Where is the... Oh, he's there.
Barriers up again.
Alright. Shoulder is dead.
After killing the 4th gatekeeper, wizards will appear alongside the other hive adds on the away side.
Okay, Tooks, your sword bearer should come out.
Not showing his face yet. Oh, there it is. Stop running away from me.
Wizards are out.
Yep.
With the whole fire team now together on the away side, there's no longer any need for the bridge, so everyone steps off plates. Shortly after the 5th gatekeeper is killed and the sword preserved, fissure ogres will spawn in on both sides. Jester now reclaims the Chalice of Light, and the fire team takes turns in order to charge the meter and gain their Enlighten buffs.
Okay, Tooks is over, we can get off the plates.
You can?
Yay!
I thought for a second I picked it up before I put my ball down. Oh no. Look at that. All is well.
Okay. Tooks, is your sword bearer done?
Yeah, yeah.
Gatekeeper
Do you
done.
want to pick Chalice up again
Jester,
and
do
then
you want to
start
grab
charging?
the chalice?
Oh yeah. What I thought. Oh.
Fire out.
Let them stand.
Yep.
Done. Take these again.
Got it.
Thank you very much.
I'll hang around in mid sheet.
Thank you for the reminder. I forgot.
Try to pick the right spot.
I'm at 90. Okay,
second
shoot, take it.
pillar, second.
Shoot. Thank you.
Alright, I'm in the center.
Yeah, I'm ready for that one.
Start.
Ogres are up.
They are.
Shape what you at?
Yeah, if you could take it, please. Awesome, awesome.
When the Fissure Ogres are dead and the swords are released, Jester, Minnow and Sheep have the Enlightened buff. Even with 3 against 5 odds, the Gatekeeper Knights are quickly killed with the help of Hat's Well of Radiance. Erin preserves the chalice again in the away bucket, and she, Hat and Tukes take care of ad control. Killing the final stand Gatekeepers completes charging the 10 hive statues that flank the stairs, which opens the door and spawns the loot chest.
Funny.
Shields are
Things are out.
Swords are up. Aaron, if you want to dunk it, we should have enough for 4.
I already done.
Cool.
But,
It's alright then.
easy peasy.
What's happening tonight? This is going a little bit
I
too
think we're
smoothly.
finally getting good at it.
Right, it's taken us
Do you know
half
what we
hour to do
haven't done?
this.
We didn't
hold
do
on,
the.
Chips, have you done the statues?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, he's done them.
Perfect.
I even,
Okay.
I even said I did.
Mhm.
There we go. I've been
Flawless.
ignoring. Excellent tick.
No, I heard you, Tux. I heard you.
And just double checking, Chips. Measure 3 times.
No,
I just
cut
like to make
twice.
sure.
You'll see from our video that after crossing to the away side, Tukes sneaked off to activate the second Deepsight statue on the left hand side, as, being the 6th Guardian, he wasn't ever going to need to be enlightened for the last stand fight. Spawning in the hallway, a mix of Hive Thrall and Yellow Bar Blistered Melee Knights. The first holder builds up their chalice meter and tells the second holder to claim it from them. The Enlighten buff will allow them to pass through the green-hued barrier. Don't hang about near the barrier, as we found you can accidentally brush against it and lose your buff, so make it a definite move to go through. Once there, kill the Shrieker to drop the barrier for the rest of your fire team. By this time, Guardian 2 should have their meter full and be ready to have the chalice taken by Guardian 3. Guardian 2 can again breach the second barrier and kill the second Shrieker to drop the second barrier. You're now in a race. Dropping the second barrier will start the door to the secret chest room opening and then closing, and at least one person has to make it inside before you're all locked outside. So, everyone apart from Guardian 3 as the chalice holder should make a run for the door. If anyone gets inside, the door will reopen. While everyone else is making a break for the door, to make the chest spawn, Guardian 3 needs to take the chalice to the preserve bucket at the far end and dunk it. Once that's all done, you can grab your loot from the chest. As usual, it'll drop any raid gear you've already obtained, as well as any raid mods that you've not yet got. You'll see from our video that it usually takes a few seconds to appear, so don't worry if you don't see any loot in your feed the moment you open the chest. If you fail to get to the chest room in time, you can reset the section with a team wipe to the ads, as long as no one drops down the hole in the room at the end of the hallway. If someone has already dropped down, this won't work, unfortunately. For our run, Jester took first chalice, Tukes took the second, and Sheep the third before dunking to make the chest appear. Erin made it into the secret chest room first, so everyone's able to get their loot.
We're good.
Need more people. Almost there. 2 seconds to me.
Damn it.
Take it, whoever's.
Got it.
Blow it, yeah, phenomenal.
Alright.
Hammered. Done.
Take it.
Alright, there. Don't apparently. get it.
Yep,
We did
chest
get
is
it.
spawning.
Yep.
What's that?
Tigs didn't die though, so we've got to go back and do it again.
With the bridge crossed and your entry into Crota's chamber complete, you're now halfway through the raid encounters. As there's no wipe timers for the bridge encounter, the Cluckers usually find this one of the more straightforward parts of Crota's End. As long as everyone's enlightened before your first 2 guardians cross the bridge to kill the first gatekeeper, the chalice and swords are preserved on the away side, and everyone is set up to hold down the plates effectively, it should feel like another relay race. With the knowledge from the first 2 encounters under your belt, you've now got an understanding of the mechanics you'll be using in the final 2 boss fights, using Enlightening to both pass through hive barriers and to enlighten and pick up Ascendant hive swords. I'd like to thank Priony for their incredibly detailed Crota's End encounter maps and for making them free to use, and Kyber from kyberscorner.com for permission to use their as awesome as always raid loot infographic. On behalf of the Cluckers, thanks for watching, we hope that's been helpful, and may all your drops be god rolls.